Welcome out to the Epically Geeky Show, episode number 150. I'm your host for the evening, Eugene Stevens. Tonight's opening question is, how were you introduced to Ghostbusters? Obviously, you've probably read the title of this episode. We're going to start with the usual crew, and then we will move on to our special guest. So, starting with Ray, how were you introduced to Ghostbusters?
Well, I was 2 when the first one came out, so was not that. Sorry to hurt everybody's feelings here.
He's younger than all of us.
I know. Yeah, I know. No, it was. I honestly don't remember. It's just been a part of my life. I've always, every time around Halloween, I remember my parents putting it on. I do remember seeing Ghostbusters 2. I want to say I was taken to a drive-in for that one, but I can't remember 100%.
Okay.
But I want to say that was kind of it. And then obviously growing up with the animated series as well, that was a big influence into the whole culture that is Ghostbusters. So
yes, yeah. It is. Kris, what about you?
About the same. I don't remember because I was turning 3 when the first one came out, so I don't remember that. I remember knowing about them and then watching the real Ghostbusters animated series, and I liked Egon's hair, and I remember Egon, I'm like, he wasn't blonde in the movie, and I remember being like really specific about that and like harped on that because it bugged me. But yeah, I just remember having seen it, but I don't remember how old I was. I was probably like around maybe 8 or 9 when the animated series. So, and I remember really liking that, but yeah, I don't remember how old I was.
Lanie, how were you introduced to Ghostbusters?
So as Ray Ray and Kris pointed out, I'm the youngest, I guess, in the group. I don't know why I'm looking at you. I know I'm younger than you. But I actually saw the cartoon first because the movie came out in 84?
Yeah.
I wasn't born yet. So I saw the cartoon first. Reruns of the cartoon used to come on when I was a kid on Saturday morning when I was really little, like 2 or 3. And I watched those first and I loved it. And what's funny is like I remember watching the cartoon first, but I always knew that there was a movie. I don't remember when someone told me there was a movie. I don't remember seeing the movie first. I know I saw the cartoon first, but it's like I always knew that there was like source material where this came from. And I probably saw the movie when I was around 5, 4 or 5. And I remember being upset because Slimer, I did not feel was featured prominently enough. Because he was my favorite character, and I also didn't like that Peter Venkman did not sound like Garfield like he did in the cartoon. That bothered me a lot, but I remember loving the movie. So it scared the bejesus out of me as a child. That the library just scared the crap out of me. Like it was just a lot, but I loved it. So that would be probably how I watched it first. And my dad actually watched it with me first because my dad was very much a Bill Murray guy. So he was very quick to be like, well, guess what? There's a whole movie and we're going to see it. So that was definitely introduced to me pretty early on.
Joseph, what about you?
Much like everybody else here, it was the cartoon. They got me first. I was only a year old when the first one came out. I remember the cartoon fairly well. I remember specific episodes like the one ghost or whatever that would eat the other ghost, and I remember Slimer being stuck inside his stomach and all that kind of stuff. And I think I saw the movie for the first time when it was like on TNT or something like that for Halloween, and then realized like, oh my God, there's an actual movie for this. So I asked my parents if I could go rent it, and then we rented it, and that's how we went to Blockbuster. It was actually Hollywood Video. But Blockbuster's probably more. Well, no, the Hollywood Video, and we rented it, and we watched it there. And then I ended up going, when I was in college, finding a box set that had the first 2 movies, and then the first season of the cartoon show all in one little box set.
Oh.
So it's sitting right behind me, actually.
That's cool.
It has like a comic book that came with it and everything.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Joining us from the San Antonio Ghostbusters, we have Rob. Rob, what was your introduction to Ghostbusters?
So I probably I'm not the oldest, I guess. Maybe, I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
I was 5 when the movie came out, and my uncle went and took me to see it. And we lived in a really small town. I had that, back then you had a smoking section in the theaters. So, yes.
Smoking section in a box.
Nice.
Sorry, get it right. Yes, I'm a real Ghostbuster. Thanks. I had to have my PK meter because I'm a real Ghostbuster. Sorry.
Oh, good looking out, buddy.
I was 5, and my uncle would take us to the movies, and it used to be a segregated movie theater. So the black people used to sit up front, and the white would be on the bottom or the top, and then they turned that to a smoking section. It was still segregated in my town because I lived in a really small town in Missouri. But I remember like leaning over the balcony and we're watching it and the movie coming on and the library ghost comes on the screen and scared the bejesus out of me. Mm-hmm. So that was my introduction. And then we had Kenner Packs and my best friend was, I guess, rich. I don't know. He had, I felt like I had like nothing, but I go to my best friend's house all the time, and he had Kenner Packs, the Firehouse, the Ecto-1, all the figures. I mean, it was a good time back in the early '80s, with But yeah, it was that was my first introduction. And I've liked it ever since.
Cool. Bev is also a member of the Austin area Ghostbusters with Lanie, Joseph, and I. What was your introduction to Ghostbusters?
Well, I'm going to proudly say that I am the oldest one here. Because I'm going to say it because I'm OG. I mean,
go lady.
My first seeing of Ghostbusters was in Corpus Christi, Texas at the Sin and Six. I went with a pack of about, I think there was like 10 or 12 of us from the science fiction group we had running then. I mean, in our high school and junior high, we were watching SNL. So we already knew who Aykroyd was. We already knew who Murray was. And we already knew it was going to be a fun movie. And so we watched the movie. I know we watched it twice that day because when we walked out after the first one, we did the strut all around the theater. We went back in and watched it again. But you had to do the strut. You had to do the strut walking out. And the other added bonus is, and I remember this clearly because it's the other fandom. Well, I have too many fandoms, but my other fandom is I remember clearly seeing a commercial for The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension that was in front of Ghostbusters. And I remember we sat there going, what the hell did we just see? We have to come back and watch this other movie too. But let's watch Ghostbusters one more time today. But after that, of course, followed through Ghostbusters, GB2. My gang did packs for AggieCon. So I got one picture of myself. I did find one picture from the old packs that we made out of Corpus Christi. I call Corpus Christi materials and Starlog. So that's all we had back then. Us people that didn't have the internet, didn't have measured plans. All you spoiled children. No, whatever. I mean, we made what we made. That's why I say anyone makes what they make is great. My added bonus is I got to interview J. Michael Straczynski when he was off making Captain Power. I have that still. And of course, I still love I love the real Ghostbusters because I enjoyed it as an adult because I love that they blended in what we liked out of the movie right into it. Plus, I mean, to me, the Boogeyman still is my favorite episode because that explained Egon's complete motivation to becoming who he was. And I just love that episode. But yeah, I've been a GB since the light went through the celluloid.
Nice. Well, I'll round out the group real quick. I remember I would have been 7 when the first movie came out, and I will never forget the terror dog scaring the crap out of me and my brother. And I've told this story multiple times. My mom had the bright idea to leave the light on in our closet in our room so that we would have an additional night light. And all I remember is waking up in the middle of the night to this door with a yellow light around the edge of it. And I kept thinking, something is about to claw its way through here and I'm a dead man. So, and I bring that up. She's like, yeah, that was not one of my best parenting decisions. So,
I think it's a fantastic decision. That's amazing.
Well, now
I'm
that we're
sure
parents, we probably would.
Hell yeah, I would do it.
So, yeah, that's my introduction to Ghostbusters. So tonight, the reason why we're having our special guest in particular is there's been a long lead up to this movie. We're going to discuss Ghostbusters Afterlife. We've done this with a couple of other big tentpole movies, and I felt that this met those qualifications. We usually do it for Star Wars and for MCU movies, and this qualifies. Like this was a big deal. This is a big deal. Partially because of some of this. Number one, because several members, almost every member on this panel right now, is an active member of a Ghostbusters group. We dress up, we go do events, and raise money for charities and do parades and stuff. But also, even though Jason Rietman has said this is not Ghostbusters 3, this is not Ghostbusters 3, this is my Ghostbusters movie. This is essentially what we've been waiting for 30 plus years. So, and then on top of that, we were going to get the movie, and then COVID happened, and it got pushed back, and it's just like, okay, we've been waiting 30 years. We can wait another 6 months, and then another 6 months, and then another 3 months, and then another 2 weeks, and it's just like, so anyway, so, but anyway, so we are going to be discussing Ghostbusters Afterlife. Before we start the discussion, I wanted to just kind of go over, I had a possibly once in a lifetime opportunity happen. Joseph, Lanie, and I were on our way with my wife to go do a parade. And Rob actually is the one, he sends me this message. He's like, hey, have you seen this? And it's literally information going out saying they are inviting certain group members to the New York premiere. And this was happening like 2 weeks away. And the deadline was the next day. And I just kind of mentioned it to my wife. I was like, oh, ha, ha, how awesome would this be? Blah, blah, blah. By the time we got to the parade, she had already planned. She's like, well, we could use this money. We could stay here. We could do this. Like, she had it all planned out. And I was like, you know what? Fine. If I get the invite, cool. Several days go by. It's a Wednesday. It's literally like I wake up and I get the invite. And it's just like, are we doing this? We're doing this. So we have everything, set everything in motion or whatever. Figure out who's going to watch our cats, who's going to watch our dogs, who's going to watch our boys. Lanie and Joseph actually stepped up for that. So it was kind of like having, training wheels, see what's going to be like with kids in the future. So yeah. And then the morning of, we're literally supposed to be leaving on a Sunday morning. An hour beforehand, we get a phone call, and Christy's grandmother has had some medical issues, and she tells me go. This is a once in a lifetime thing, go. And I was just like, okay, so I'm going to New York City by myself. And I was just like, I will be honest with you, I was very nervous about that. So I get to New York, kind of wander around a little bit. And I listened to a podcast. It's a big group in the Ghostbusters community called Yes Have Some. And I contacted them. They were having a pre-premiere party. And I was like, hey, if you happen to have a ticket, if something came open, my night's free. My wife's not here. I don't know what I'm going to do in New York City. They're like, sure, we've got one, whatever. So I go to this premiere party, and it's at a barcade, and it's really cool because I've at least got Ghostbusters to talk about with everybody. And Jason Rietman shows up, and I got his autograph, which was freaking awesome. And of course, I'm kicking myself. I was like, well, no, I'm not going to take my ecto goggles that I made because whatever. God, I wish I would have done that. Anyway, So anyway, I go to this party, I get Jason Reitman's autograph. And it was freaking awesome. Well, the next morning we were supposed to go to the Today Show. That's kind of Christy's big thing. She really likes the Today Show. I didn't really have any plans on doing that until we find out, oh, no, Ernie Hudson's going to be there. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to the Today Show. So I got very little sleep, got up the next morning. I showed up, and I was like, well, I don't know if I'll be the only one here. And please, if you're listening to this, please don't skewer me. Was it the North Carolina Ghostbusters? I've got to double check that. Anyway, I met up with a group of Ghostbusters there, and they were there for the same reason. And I was like, well, I don't want to be the one goofball that's dressed up like a Ghostbuster away from everyone else. So I kind of wandered over there with the rest of the group, and they come out and they're like, oh, it's going to be an hour and a half before they actually come out and do anything, blah, blah, blah. If you need to go get something to eat, drink, something to warm you up because it was cold. So some of the group kind of steps out. I'm like, here, I'll kind of help hold the line or whatever. And then when everything goes down, I ended up on the Today Show, right behind Al Roker. And he is apparently a huge Ghostbusters fan. Unfortunately, we were told Ernie Hudson wasn't going to be coming out later on because it was kind of cold or whatever. So we're like, okay, so everyone kind of disperses. Christy and I were supposed to go to the firehouse. And I was like, well, I'm going to be here by myself. I'm also going to do the whole tour. What's really cool is the New York Ghostbusters several of those guys have actually gone and gotten their tourist licenses from New York. So they are licensed New York tour guides.
Awesome.
And they give
That's awesome.
They give a specific Ghostbusters tour, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to do this. Two quick things I want to mention. My wife and I have been to New York once, about 12 years ago. There are two big changes that have happened since then. Number one, smartphones. We didn't have smartphones back then. So to be able to walk out, pull out my phone and go, I want to go here, and it literally tell me, oh, it's a 12-minute walk or 5-minute car ride, or here's how you go to the bus, was a guy, game changer. And then the other thing was Uber and Lyft. And just to be able to walk out and be like, all right, I'm just going to get in this car and they're going to take me where I'm going to go and everything's cool. Like that, it just totally changed being able to get around the city. So anyway, I go on this tour with probably about 50 other Ghostbusters from all over the world, which was a lot of fun. We got, I've posted pictures on my Instagram and stuff. And then so I go back and I get ready for the movie. We were told our showing is at 8 o'clock, line up at 7. Of course, everyone started getting there early by the time I got there. I did not get picked for the red carpet event, which apparently was running late and ran super late because they had a hard time getting the cast together to do the group photo. Unfortunately, Bill Murray, it was Bill Murray and just was kind of not really like signing anything or shaking any hands. Uncle Dan, on the other hand, constantly keeps wandering off to go take pictures and everything else because it's Dan Aykroyd and that's how he does.
Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah. Uncle Dan, good old Uncle Dan. But anyway, so it was about 45 minutes late. We finally get into the movie theater. We sit down right before High C is not officially releasing Ecto Cooler, but they were doing out a small run at some of the premieres or whatever. And so I got this Ecto Cooler and it's like, I'm sitting in the movie theater at the New York premiere with a bunch of other Ghostbusters. I have High C Ecto Cooler, and Jason Rietman runs down real quick and gives this really awesome, about 3-minute speech. I posted it on my social media stuff, and he says, "This movie is for us. This movie is for the people who grew up with Ghostbusters. You played with the toys." He's like, "I wanted to give everyone one last ride in Ecto 1. No, I wanted to see what it would be like chasing a ghost hanging outside of Ecto 1. He's like, so I wanted to give that to everybody. And then runs out and watches the movie. And I'm just like sitting there, like trying to absorb this movie and trying to absorb everything that's around, going on around me. And literally as I'm walking out, I had talked about this before. I made a pair of Ecto goggles from the new movie that actually work with the camera or whatever. And I got a picture of Mickey and Grace, which was bizarre as all get out as it is. But what was really cool was she was literally about to go down the escalator, and I was like, "Miss Grace, can I take a picture real quick?" And I'm pulling down the Ecto goggles, and she looks at it and she goes, "Do those really work?" And I'm like, "Yes." And so I take the picture, and she goes, "Oh my God, that is so cool! I can't wait to tell Logan." And I'm just like, "Okay, well, that was really cool." But come to find out from some other people, apparently the actual prop in the movie, he couldn't see through hardly either. So I guess mine are technically screen accurate because there's only about 75% of your view is like blocked by this stupid camera. So anyway, so I had this insane, experience, doing Ghostbusters and stuff. And then I fly home. I go to work the next day. This is on a Thursday, or I'm home Wednesday. I go to work next day on Thursday for a half day of work, and then I drive to Austin, which is an hour south of here, Thursday night, Friday night, and Sunday night to go to the Alamo Draft House with the rest of the Austin area Ghostbusters to do premiere events and take pictures with people, and it was a blast. That Saturday, drove down to San Antonio with my wife, and we were in the parade, the Alamo Heights parade or whatever. So within like a week, it was just nothing but Ghostbusters. It was insane. And then, of course, the movie. So with all of that said, we'll just go around really quick. Just initial thought. Ray, what did you think?
Oh, you got to put me on the spot. I'm thankful for my name. I will say that's one thing that Ghostbusters has done is actually made me okay with my name.
He doesn't like his name.
I hated Ray for the longest time, just as because it's an old man name. And now I'm gonna embrace the old man name because I'm gonna be the old man. So
well, you are an old man.
Exactly. So it's as for this movie, is it terrible? I want more.
No, it's not.
Okay, that's where I'll leave it.
Okay, Kris.
I I've had a lot of COVID anxiety about going out in public settings and things like that. We've had multiple lockdowns here in Ontario, and things like that. So for me, going to the movie theater was not high on my list of priorities, especially with streaming services. They have spoiled everybody, spoiled the crap out of everybody. You can watch freaking Marvel movie in your pajamas, looking like crap. And
well, you could at the theater too.
Well, not really. And I felt bad because he's been really wanting to go for since it opened up, which hasn't been that long, but since then. And we finally kind of made the snap decision to do it today. And I'm very glad it was worth going to.
I took her to a Landmark Theater, which is close by, as close by as you can be here. And yeah, it had the lounge chairs and everything. Like it was a big,
nice.
Like if you're gonna
but
do
I can't go back to a regular theater now. You've ruined it.
Oh, so real quick. So I took my boys earlier this week, and it was to an IMAX, and I was like, okay, this isn't gonna be a true IMAX. This is gonna be kind of that pared down IMAX in Tyler, Texas. Yeah, the popcorn was not great. They didn't have the popcorn salt, and I'm like, for an IMAX movie, you would think they'd have recliners. I was like, this was disappointing. This was not worth the extra money that I paid for the IMAX experience. Like I could have sat down in a normal theater with nice reclining seats. And anyway, Lanie,
mad because I wasn't there to make the popcorn for him.
No, they didn't even have the popcorn salt out. Like they had the butter, but no
bring
salt.
Your
And I'm
own weirdo.
because I was at Granny and Papa's, I wasn't thinking about it.
Why didn't you take it to Tyler?
Yes, because I'm like Christy would be like, "What is that? Oh, it's popcorn salt. Don't worry about it.
I would have backed you up.
It won't spill on anything."
I would have,
Lanie,
obviously.
thoughts?
So, first initial thoughts off the bat, I was very touched. I was very moved by the movie, which I feel like is such a funny thing to say about a Ghostbuster movie. But I feel like, right, like I want more, but at the same time, I will say I felt very content.
Yes.
If this is the end, I'm fine. I'm so happy.
I'm good. Yeah.
I very it felt very full circle. It felt very, I don't know. To me, it ticked all the boxes. It was nostalgic without being too fan servicey. It was very, very heartfelt, but still really funny.
Yeah.
And yeah, it definitely, it was everything that I had really hoped that it was going to be. So,
Joseph?
that's what I'm going to say about that. We'll get to the other.
Yes, we'll get into it in a second. Joseph?
I tried to go in there like without having this. Well, it's going to be all or nothing, all or bust. I'm either going to love it or hate it kind of attitude. I wanted to enjoy it for what it was, and I was surprised that how much I enjoyed it. I knew I was going to like it, but I didn't know I was going to say like, okay, this could be one of those things where if I'm going to watch the originals, I have to watch this one as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Gotcha. Rob.
I want to say, so I've seen it 3 times, and so I went first time with the Austin group on Thursday, met up with them and saw it, and then we saw it at the IMAX at Fan Fest version where they broadcasted the interviews live from the Chinese theater, which they cut it right in the middle. Like he's sitting there talking, and they cut it to start the movie.
Oh, okay, that's weird.
I was like, and they were supposed to be like, you're supposed to be able to log in and like on Twitter and stuff and win prizes, and they had all this like stuff you could do, and yeah, none of that happened. So, and I'm with you with the IMAX. I mean, we have a really nice IMAX theater here, the Palladium. It's not that old, and there's no. The seats recline, but it's not. They haven't been upgraded. It seems like. So yeah, I mean, the screen was nice, the sound was nice, but I mean, with everything you see on other theaters, you would think it's time for an upgrade in that theater. And then, so the first time I saw it, I thought the beginning was real slow. Like, and I also, so I was like, come on, where's the movie at? Where's the? I felt like where's the meat? And I know we're getting this storyline and we're following it. And then the first time I saw it, I was like, do we really need Trevor? I mean, okay, he drives a car. That's really all we're getting him to drive the car. I mean, that's really all we need him for.
He's not even old enough to do that.
Yeah. So so then I was thinking, do we really need Lucky? She shoots a proton pack. She turns into a dog. I mean, you really don't get a lot from her, I feel like. So that was the first time I saw the movie. That's kind of how I felt. Then I see it again, and I think the slow part went away. I didn't care if it was slow or not. I just loved it. I mean, I love the dynamic of the family and getting. I'm already learning them, not learning them again, seeing it again, and then like the third time seeing it, I just enjoyed the whole thing. But still, I feel like, do we really need Lucky? I don't really think we need that character. I feel like she was built. I feel like with this movie, there's got to be a director's cut version, or not even a director's cut. This is his cut. There's stuff so missing.
There has to be scenes where she was more prominent that were cut out. I agree with you.
Or like I was listening to Jason from
Ghostbusters News.
Yes, those are Jason in his review, and some things I agreed with, and some things I didn't, because I was like, because he said, why do they have the camera in the goggles if they only do it one time? So then I watched his review, and then when I went and saw it with my family, I thought about everything he said in his review. And podcast went to go use them again, and right when he went to use it again is when he hit the lever and she flew out of the car out of the gunner seat, so he couldn't use them. So he attempted to use them again to take a picture of Munter, but he couldn't because of the other action that was taking place. So I don't know. I mean, the part when they start becoming Ghostbusters from then on, that movie was awesome. I mean, I loved it. Just that first part. But I think that's a Jason. I think that's the Reitman part of it, of his own, how he directs him, and like watching Juno and all that stuff, and that little bit of dryness, I guess, to get to where you're going. Mm-hmm. But like the music itself, I love that 369 song gets stuck in my head every time I watch that movie. So nice. That's how I felt.
Bev, what about you?
Well, I also saw it 3 times last week because I went to the Cinemark showing on Wednesday. And I will have to agree that one of the big things I did get as a pullback for myself was that Jason was right to hold it back because we needed to see this as an audience.
Yeah.
And we needed to see it in the theater together because there are many emotional beats that when you catch yourself going, oh my God, it's Egon, or oh my God, this is happening. Mm-hmm. You're in that moment and you're having that experience with a group of people having it with you. Mm-hmm. There's maybe a few people that were like, I don't know what's going on, but most of us were in the mood. We're all synced into it. We're all locked into what's happening. And the other thing for me emotionally is I kind of grew up with my dad being a cross of Egon and Mr. Spock. So I've always loved Egon. Mm-hmm. And I've always admired Harold Ramis as a director and as a writer. So I really enjoyed that this movie was centered around him. I mean, I read his daughter's book like a year and a half ago when it came out. And mm-hmm. Just a lot of it that hit a lot of beats for me. And I know we were all bawling at the end. I admit it proudly. Each time I bawled.
Like a baby.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, I was there, it's like, the first time the Four Herald came up, I was just down. I can do it. I'm getting verklempt again. My little Jewish side that I don't have is coming out. I'm verklempt. But that's how it was important to me because, again, I grew up watching Stripes. I grew up, those were peer movies to me almost because those guys were only 8 years ahead of me or 10 years ahead of me mm-hmm. in some respects in what they were doing. So it's just wild. Wild ride.
Yeah. So like I said, the first time I saw this was in New York with a bunch of other Ghostbusters at the premiere. So I had all of that kind of on me as well. So part of me is I'm trying to be in the moment and enjoy the movie for what it is and not. I'm like y'all, some of y'all. I'm trying not to have expectations. Unfortunately, because it kept getting pushed back or whatever, and I understand, they have partnerships with toy manufacturers and other things. So, like for example, Baskin Robbins this summer released. It was like a green apple slime or whatever that you could add to your stuff. clearly that was supposed to be a Ghostbusters tie-in, but because I guess for whatever reason they decided they couldn't hold back any longer, so they kind of rebranded as just a slime, and there was, and it lost the Ghostbusters, attachment to it. So just between the toys, just between all, the ads, just between all the stuff that's leaked out, I know I was trying to be really good, but I ended up watching everything anyway. But like,
Well,
there was a lot of.
I told you I avoided all the spoilers.
Yes, and good on you for that.
I mean, I've been backtracking now that I can, but it's like, boy,
Yeah.
I was so bad. Like I told Eugene on Thursday afternoon after I'd seen it Wednesday, I was at home and when the stream was running commercial, I literally was covering my head again and going la 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 la. I went, I saw the commercial. I saw the movie last night. I can watch the commercial now.
Yeah.
I literally was avoiding commercials. I was so afraid because thankfully, I think Reitman must have been handling the trailers too, because all the trailers I've seen now did not give the movie away.
No, actually, it didn't.
And I'm very
nice.
But it's like because like the other people that usually write the movies, like Matt Damon's having something bad happening.
Yeah.
You see all the bad things, you get to watch them again. Spend $10.
Some of these bad things aren't even gonna happen, but you're gonna come and see to see if it actually does.
All right, so real quick, that's one other. We'll just go ahead and hit on this since you've already brought it up. So there are scenes, going back to what you were saying, Rob. There are scenes in the trailers that are not in the movie. When the first trailers that introduced us to Phoebe, like the kids are like shooting Doritos or something at her to show her, to show that she's kind of an outcast. That is not in the movie. One of the later trailers where we start talking about him being a Ghostbuster or whatever, there's a very slow pan into the picture of the four guys in front of the firehouse. That is not in the movie. There's a couple of other things in there, and I'm like the rest of y'all.
The car
like,
scene. Yeah, the car scene. When Trevor says, "Why are you messing with the car?" Because it's a wagon. It works.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're just like, okay, well, there's got to be a director's cut of this or whatever. And so far, Jason Reitman's like, no, this was my cut. This is it. And he said, in fact, if I was going to go back and edit it, it would be even shorter. He said, I'd want to tighten it up even more. Now, so whenever it is released, we may get some of those scenes, just kind of like, here's extra shots or whatever. But it sounds like we're not going to get a quote unquote director's cut that has all of that stuff stitched back in. Yeah. Which is unfortunate because I do feel after seeing the movie 3 times, I do feel the way that some other people have voiced. It's like, okay, maybe there was more with Trevor and Lucky, and it just ended up on the cutting room floor. For what we got, I thought they were okay. It's not like they were just, completely out there, not needed or whatever.
It didn't take anything away from the experience.
Right.
I wasn't like, ugh, get off of my screen. Like, it wasn't
exactly,
like that.
Yes.
No.
But it was like, no, I liked these. It's not that I disliked them. I liked these characters. I wanted more. I wanted to see maybe, more of their interaction or so on and so forth. So, but okay. So anyway, like I said, I'm trying to absorb it the first time. The second time I watched the movie, I was at, I'd already bought my ticket before all the New York stuff had even gone down. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm getting up at 10 a.m. on a Friday morning and I'm going to go watch this by myself pretty much. And, that's when it all hit me. And I cried. There's a lot of stuff to this movie. So real quick, before we, start talking about individual stuff, there were 2 people on this panel that in particular, I wanted to see their reactions. Lanie, you were one of them, just because of all of the dad stuff. Because there was that was kind of a real warning. Like, it's funny, some of the, groups and stuff, like when the movie first started coming out, it was just like, hey, just a heads up, not to give anything away, but if you have any, not daddy issues, that's the wrong way to put it.
If any unresolved anything involving
with a parent
figures,
just be aware this might be kind of triggering.
Mm-hmm.
And the other person on the panel was Kris, because I wanted to see, not that I really compare you to the mom character, but just, I know how you kind of talked about Quinn, and just like, she's like, she's really smart, and I just, I hope the best for her, but she's not. And I just wanted to see if you had any kind of reaction that way.
So that is not what I thought you meant. I thought you like, I would just like Phoebe because she's
Phoebe's a good character.
She's a good character.
I really
now you say that. That's Quinn. Oh, my baby. He's had a rough hoe with social interactions, and since we've got his diagnosis, it makes a lot more sense about how he sees the world and what barriers come across for him. So him and Phoebe are different that way. Phoebe's just sort of socially awkward because she's so smart and so in her head. She'd rather be there than really. It doesn't bug her that she doesn't have friends because it's not something that she's interested in. Where Quinn is like, he literally has, his brain can't do it, right? So, but he's really smart too.
We need to find him a podcast.
We need to, we need to find him a podcast. That kid, I'm like, that's the kid. I want a podcast. I love that kid. I want to be friends with that kid. He was so cool. But yeah, so Quinn needs his own podcast because he's that type that needs that extrovert to adopt him into the social group and be like, hey, this kid's cool. And so far this year, knock on wood, it's happening for him. So I think he has found his podcast, and her name is Serenity. And she's really nice. He says that she reminds him a lot of his sister. He's like, she's really chatty.
Nice.
For him, that's really great. But it's always interesting when they portray those kids on screen as, you know, the typical nerds, and they're super smart and they're like locked in their own world, and it kind of becomes a bit of a trope. And then you have a kid who's really smart, locked in their own world, doesn't really care what's going on outside, and you're like, oh, it's kind of real. It's based off something. And how do you pull them out of that? And how do you not just see your kid as sort of, I want to crawl into his head sometimes and see what's going on.
Gotcha.
He's so fascinating.
Right.
He might not, but I would definitely.
He's like, it's getting real weird in here.
Yeah. I'm good. I'm set. Thanks.
Yeah. Oh. Well, because he is 13, so you know, I mean, yeah. But he definitely needs a podcast for sure, and I think he's and they're in and around the same age too. Like Phoebe's 12 in the movie, Quinn's 13, but yeah.
Phoebe actually reminded me of friends of ours. They have an older daughter, and as I'm watching it, I'm like, that seems like her. Like, and it's she's a really good kid, outgoing, but a little bit more outgoing than obviously Phoebe is. But yeah, I was like, I'm watching that kid right there. It's pretty cool. So yeah. Yeah,
but I like Phoebe.
Well, this is okay. Before we start going into the characters specifically, because I kind of had this broken up, talking about the characters, the equipment, the scenes, and then, you know, maybe any thoughts we have on the future of the franchise. This is a family movie. There were a couple of parts that I was a little, not concerned, but just, you know, parent mind was on watching the movie. There are some somewhat sexual references, but I'm like, they're actually nowhere near as bad as the original Ghostbusters, to be honest.
Oh my God, I was gonna say, I watched that 5-year-old.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, well, when we get to the point where he's like, I think Grooverson's trying to bone your mom, I'm like, I wonder if one of my boys is going to turn to me and be like, Dad, what does that mean? And then the other thing was, if you go see this movie and it's got really good sound, there's some jump scares.
Yes.
Not many.
Yeah.
But I had to specifically like kind of warn them, and there were a couple of times that they jumped that I forgot something was going to happen. Like the scene where she's Callie has already been possessed by Zool, which, by the way, how fantastic is we now have the line to add, there is no mom, there is only Zool. Because I have started using that for Dad as well, even though technically it would be Vince Cortho, but still. But anyway, whenever she does the snap towards, you know, Phoebe when she gets close or whatever, that scared him. But it was that scene right as she's getting possessed. She's down in the lab or whatever, and it's all dark, and literally the dog jumps out real quick. Yeah. Other than that, I think it really, like, it's not too scary. But like once again, going back to the original Ghostbusters, it's like, this isn't any worse. And in fact, you might even consider it to be, you know, not quite as bad, because like I said, the terror dog scared the crap out of me, but yes, the librarian scene was still scary.
Yeah.
So
that was the best jump scare of the original movie.
Oh yeah. So because I don't think anyone was expecting it. It's just like, yeah. So anyway,
but they also diffused it immediately with the, that was a great idea, get her, you know.
Yeah, get her. Yeah. Okay, so real quick, so let's talk about the characters. We've already kind of talked on Phoebe. We've kind of touched on them already. Phoebe, I love this character. Number one, and everyone's right, she fucking carried the movie. Like,
she did.
And did it seamlessly.
Yes.
To play such an introverted character, who is so cerebral and is so much in her own head and enjoys being in her own head. I felt like she, even if they hadn't made her the lead, she would have been a scene stealer.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
Oh yeah.
And who didn't like her jokes, man? Oh my god.
Fantastic.
Oh God, yeah.
Dad jokes.
What
What's
do
up?
you
Those
call
jokes were
When he felt fit.
amazing. I came home. I got 4 boys. I tried to like say them to them because I hadn't seen it yet. Like, you know, I was just kind of just testing the waters, and they're like, "Dad, you're just not funny." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Got it. You're getting it. I get this."
See, I was trying not to give all of them away, but I did specifically. Somehow or another, my boys got talking about jokes, and I dropped the polar bear one, and they
That's
thought
the
it was
one I used.
hilarious.
Whatever you
That
want.
is hilarious.
It's
I
dead.
Yep.
love that.
And I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh my god, I cannot wait till we go see this movie because y'all are gonna love this.
And McKenna Grace's delivery was so perfect because she keeps it.
Yes.
She's not monotone like Sheldon. Yeah, I'm just saying using Sheldon because it's like,
Yeah.
you know, we all seen
Well,
Sheldon
yeah.
on Big Bang.
I kind of saw Sheldon, like the young Sheldon.
Yeah, the young Sheldon,
character?
yes, but the older Sheldon, no. I saw
No,
more
no,
of the young
but,
Sheldon.
like-
But you also remember she actually guest starred on Young Sheldon as
She
the other.
did,
Yeah, she played the almost love interest.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been a very busy actress even before this. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the interesting thing. So she does have acting credits before and after this movie.
Yes.
On the
And
other
she
hand,
sings.
and she sings. Okay, by the way, so yes, I downloaded the song that she did, "Haunted House." I thought it was really, really good.
Yeah.
But so now we talk about podcast, aka Logan Kim, who
Angel.
came out of nowhere, had never done
Angel.
any acting at all, and they were just like, he walked on scene like he's been fucking doing this for like a decade. He's like, all right, that's the next scene? What are we having for lunch? Okay, well, I'll do this. And they're just like, this dude was like made for this. Like,
He's the kid at your high school that is always cast in the secondary role but kills it, and then goes on to do incredible things.
Guy in the chair, right? Like that's he reminded me of like that character from Spider-Man as well, right?
Yes.
Guy in the chair.
Yes.
Like he was just one of those. He's gonna steal his scenes, but he doesn't really carry the plot, which I love. Like
Perfect.
those are the characters that I fall in love with.
a lot of reviews, a lot of people have said they were like, when they first heard about podcasts or first started saying, they're like, okay, he's the one I'm worried about. Is he going to be the one that's like, oh God, why is this annoying kid on here? But it totally, his character totally worked.
Yeah.
No, he was the perfect balance to Phoebe because he brought her out of her shell.
Yeah.
And he was necessary for both, just to let her know she could express herself too, because that's the first time she's seen herself accepted by a peer.
Yeah.
And we have to almost assume that she did not get accepted by peers before then.
Yeah.
He fostered really good dialogue between the two of them.
Yeah, I mean, when he offered to be lab partners, that was like the first time she's been offered anything.
I don't think we're going to be doing any labs, but okay.
Sure.
But just the fact that the hand was open to say, let's do something and be friends.
Yeah.
And yet that was a lot of positivity there. I mean, I enjoyed that it was done. It wasn't sappy. It was just right on. It was just hit all the right notes for me.
It was a really good example of what realistic kid friendships are like, in all honesty.
Yes.
I see that every day of kids just going up to another kid and wanting to be friends and just being fully willing to accept that other kid's boundaries and respect them. And I loved it.
To the parents, I want to see a scene with podcast parents. I want to see these people because you made a very cool kid.
Yes.
Sorry,
but to the kids, our dog's being very weird. To the kids' parents who've raised kids who go up to the neurotypical kids and say, hey, you want to hang out? Those are my favorite kids.
Yeah.
Because our kid has spent many, many years being ostracized because he was the weird kid and nobody liked him in his old school. We move here. It's amazing. He's got a bunch of kids who, come up to him. He's not, he obviously working on it. He can't really reciprocate the other part of it, but they're like, hey, Quinn, come on over. And he's just like,
me? Yeah.
All right. Okay. I got nothing else going on. But those kids, to show, it's really important to show those kids who accept the ones that are the outcasts or the weird ones or the neurodivergent ones. Like it's really normal.
And the other good thing is we didn't see any kids picking on her.
No.
Which I also liked.
Yes.
Whether she was buffered by podcast friendship or just the fact that the other kids were too busy, like we're just here at summer school slacking off. I didn't like that she wasn't getting some negativity from anybody. I mean, she got the brotherly stuff, but not,
Well, and that's normal.
That's totally normal. Yeah.
And even then, it wasn't even that bad. It was literally, how are the jokes going? You can't let her do that.
Yeah.
And I love that became a quote later on in the movie was, "Don't be yourself."
Don't be yourself.
Yeah, don't be yourself.
So, Rob, you were going to say something?
I was. I don't know.
Okay, sorry about that.
No. I would like to just see podcast and her. I mean, and Phoebe, that dynamic. They were like peanut butter and jelly through the whole thing. You know,
they're great scene partners.
So well, they wasn't forced. And his movement, I think he must have watched Ghostbusters 1 and 2 because I could see even his movement, Ray. You know,
You're not the only one I've heard say that.
Yeah.
When he's carrying the bags and he's walking, he does that whole thing that Ray does where he throws his head back when he's carrying stuff. Like he's got those movements down, and I saw
that specific scene when they first spy Muncher, and she looks back at him, and he's just like that was Ray, that was freaking Ray, and she's just like, no, we're going on doing this. So no, I totally see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we've already kind of addressed it a little bit. We'll just take them together. Trevor and Lucky. I liked their characters, but I'm like a lot of other people on here. I would like to have seen more. I do like the interaction. I do get the family. I get the family unit. I see that being an actual family unit. He's like, he's trying to help out. He also is trying to be a teenager, but he understands we don't have any money and this sucks. And I'm just trying to be cool and impress the cute girl. And, I'm doing my best, but I'm definitely not the cool kid. So, which was interesting because if you kind of look at it, if you look at the dynamic, obviously Phoebe would be the Egon equivalent. Podcast would obviously be the Ray equivalent. And you would think, okay, well, he's obviously going to be Venkman. No, he's not Venkman. He's not. He's not the cool guy. He's the everyman that, even though Winston was not a dumb character by any means, but he's the one that has to ask the questions. What is going on here? Like, talk to me like a normal person.
So would that make Lucky be more the, right?
Kind of.
Maybe. Right? Yeah. She's kind of the cool one, right? She's
a smart mouth. She's got a smart mouth.
She's a smart mouth. She's the cool one. She's
And also, Lucky wouldn't have had as much to do if her dad wasn't the sheriff. So it's like that tied in too.
But I feel like you have this that act I don't know the actor's name for the sheriff, but you see him in.
That was Dave Chappelle, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't Dave Chappelle.
I thought it was. I'm tired.
You see him in everything. I know the guy. Like when I see him, and I just felt like that was a small part. Like I felt like there needed. Like I think he should have been Walter Peck. Like
you're not the only one I've heard say that either. Like he should have had a bigger role.
He should have been the bad guy. Like there should have been more with that interaction. I guess. I mean, she tries to shoot him.
Which, by the way, when that happened, I was just like, "Oh shit, we're going there."
Oh, I was ready for that. I was like, "Go there."
We're gonna really see what happens when a human gets hit.
That's why I kind of wonder if that was supposed to be a bigger piece of the puzzle, and it just didn't pan out the way that they figured that it would when they finally put everything all together and decided to edit it out. There was a lot of stuff within the movie that it felt like there were little things that were added that felt like more of a means to an end, like the goggles. Like you said, Rob, like he goes to do the goggles again and he hits the lever for the gunner seat and like that or whatever, and like that's how like we get from point A to point B to point C to point D. And so I almost wonder if that was just a part of that. It was more in depth than we thought. Like we needed Trevor. Trevor was the perfect extra addition in that family unit because it wouldn't have made sense if it was just the mom and Phoebe. That wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
Well, like she said, it made her doubt. She that's the conversation she has with Gruberson. I'm fine with Trevor. Like I get along with Trevor.
His dad was fine with Trevor, but then with Phoebe, they never connected.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Joseph?
I was gonna say with Lucky, her purpose was to get him to the mine shaft. That was her point in the movie.
Take him to the mine shaft.
He saw her. He liked her. He made that connection. They found the mine shaft. after that, it was just she was along for the ride.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I saw it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because even podcast was giving all the history on the mine shaft.
Yeah.
Because she was like, oh, some guy's got something, and he's like, she acts like she doesn't care, and suddenly podcast is like, hey, it's all this stuff, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah. So it could have just been as simple as that, and then the fact that her dad was the sheriff was probably more to do with the fact that they're in a tiny town. It's like that. Everybody's everybody. Everyone is related to everybody, and it's just,
She is fourth generation dumpster fire. So it's
generation dumpster fire.
Yep.
The other two characters I specifically put on here, there's one more I want to add, but we'll start with Callie first. We'll go heavy and then light. Like a lot of times when you see a character like this that's really really hurt, and it's just like a lot of times they come across as not likable. And I never disliked her in the movie because she also like she just flat out comes out and says it. She's just like, he didn't care about me. He didn't care about us, and he left us, and that's why I'm so hurt. And I'm like, okay, well, at least you're being honest and you're voicing it. And like I said, it wasn't the only drawback I see is the fact that it seems like she didn't specifically put down the science that Phoebe was into. She just couldn't connect on that, which unfortunately was that was her big thing. But she was actively, you could tell she was actively trying to do her best. So that's why, to me, she was still a likable character. Like I said, unfortunately, a lot of movies, when you have a character like this that's severely hurt or whatever, they're written in a way that's just like, I understand you're hurt and you're trying to do your best, but Jesus, can you be likable? Can you smile once in a while? Like, does everything have to be the worst thing in the world?
And that's where I think she nailed that role. You appreciate where she's had a hard life, right? And from a young age, she's had a dad that just wasn't around and like picked something else instead of her. She's obviously struggled through to get where she's at, and she's still struggling, and you can see that and you can feel it. But she still wants to take care of her kids, and that's where that positivity comes out of, and that's where the likability comes out of. Like she may not understand her kids, and especially more Phoebe, but she appreciates them and she takes care of them the best way she can.
And she's trying. She specifically says, "I'm trying."
Yeah.
She's a good mom, and she's a realistic mom.
Yes.
Yes. Especially for one that has gone through everything that she has.
Yeah.
One thing I really appreciated too about her was when they get her from the mines and she's in the car and she's so excited to tell them all the stuff that she's discovered, and she's like, she's just going like, yeah, Mom, we know, and then my favorite thing in a movie is when a supporting character asks like, well, I'm in, what can I do to help?
Yeah.
I love that. I love that it wasn't an adult being like, don't worry, everybody, I've got it handled. It's dope. I'm down.
Well,
can I?
I think the switch flipped on that whenever Phoebe specifically goes, hold on, and jumps out of the side of the vehicle and blasts the terror dog and then comes back in like it's nothing. Like, oh, I've been doing this for years. It's fine. It's just like, okay, the kids know what they're doing. I'm just along for the ride.
They got it. We're good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gary Gruberson.
Chaotic
fantastic name.
Angel.
Fantastic casting. Like,
he's us.
Yes.
He's us in the movie.
Yeah.
He's the
except we're not the sexiest man alive now. We have to get that.
True.
We have to accept that. I mean,
like, speak for yourself.
I loved his character. Lanie, Christy has not seen the movie. We may go see it tomorrow. Your thoughts on him being a substitute teacher?
I would let him sub my class anytime. I would have to explain to him that he cannot show them horror movies because I will get fired.
That was the best.
That was the best.
That was perfect.
Leaned over to Joseph. I was like, I would be fired. I would be fired so fast.
Yeah.
Well, that's why.
Really?
That's why my favorite line was that she thought he was a football coach.
Yes.
I was
He didn't know how to take it.
I was like over at Joseph on that one too, because Joseph was a math teacher and a football coach.
I'm just saying, at my high school, we knew the football coaches were like the easy A's. I mean, you could walk in there and be like, here's the book, here's the paper, you fill this out. Oh, it's the same exact words. George Washington was the blank of our country.
Yeah.
Father of our country. Okay,
died.
I've turned in my paperwork. I'm done.
died.
Thank you.
Well, and then when like she's like, you're a seismologist, I was like, well, of course he is. He's not a real substitute.
Yeah.
Just it was very funny. I also I love Paul Rudd so much. I love him. But when he walks into that Walmart, I was like, that's just what he walks. Like, that's the way he walks. He's not even playing a character right now. He's just being Paul Rudd. Like,
happy to be here.
Just excited. Golden Retriever human.
I happen to think that once he was possessed, that he nailed the Rick Moranis, like, walking around. Like,
yes, he did. That was fantastic. You're absolutely right. He did nail that.
Yes.
So, the other character I wanted to specifically bring up, and we're gonna save the legacy characters for a little bit. Although technically, I guess he would be a legacy character. Zool. Oh, I'm sorry, not Zool. I mean, Gozer.
Gozer. There you go.
I think they did a fantastic job.
They did.
God, yes.
Yeah.
Costume-wise, too.
Oh, yes.
Oh, everything.
The hair, the whole spiel.
I mean, even who they picked for the voice. I mean, that's an amazing voice. I mean, actress from the Expanse doing the voice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and the special effects that they did as well, where the electricity going through that's awesome. Yeah.
Also,
they made it perfect.
I kind of felt like the special effects that they did for all of that, I don't know if I'm totally off base and if I'm just imagining this. Obviously, it's going to be better than the 1984 movie.
Yeah.
But did anybody else feel like it kind of it wasn't super far off?
Oh, no. So they specifically went back. Like, Jason Reitman has been quoted as saying, we went back and looked at the original prints, like the colors, whenever the town starts getting taken over and the streams of light going through, those are the exact same colors from Ghostbusters and stuff.
It's like they did the same thing, but it's like they just put like an Instagram filter on it to make it just look a bit sharper.
Off a little bit.
And they didn't leave any artifacts for us to see later.
Yeah.
Yes, which I'm okay with. So
I'm just saying. I mean, it's like it's a cleaned up version. I mean, they enhanced it in a way that made Gozer seem more real.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like when like I said, that's the other jump scare was when Gozer went, and said goodbye, Evo.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
yeah.
By the way, do y'all know who Evo Shandor was?
Yeah.
I do from I read the game stuff, but I was like, wow.
No, it freaked me out too hard for me to look right at him. What?
I know what I leaned
it's
over.
what's his face?
It's J.K.
It's the guy.
It's J.K. Simmons.
It's J.K.
Yeah,
Simmons.
Oscar winning
J.K. Simmons.
Let's mention Oscar winning J.K. Simmons.
Because I leaned
Which
over.
is literally we want you to play a corpse, and then you're going to stand up and you have one line in the movie, and then by the way, that was a practical effect.
Yeah.
Like apparently, Jason Reitman said they did a body scan and they basically built it, and then they're like, we'll just put a bunch of goo in there or whatever, because he was talking to the special effects guys, and they're like, well, we've got quite a bit of the budget saved aside for that part, and he's like, oh no, we're doing that practically, and they're like, well, what? He's like, no, I want her to literally rip him apart.
Well, that's the kind of stuff that made it feel the same as the old ones. I feel like.
Yes. Well, even the
fact
that
the
they
terror
used
dog eating the dog food is all puppeteered and stuff, and so. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because my boys were asking, they're like, well, how much of that was computer, Dad? I'm like, when the dog's running, that's the computer. I'm like, but when the dog's like just sitting there, I'm like, no, that's like 4 guys in there with a puppet and stuff.
Not more.
Speaking of that, though, when they added in, right, when the claw hits the Walmart floor and scrapes across, and I'm like, damn, they didn't do that in the first movie. So
I had to go pee, so I didn't see that.
Oh yeah, she missed the one scene. She missed.
I saw the beginning of it, and I'm like, damn it, I can't hold it anymore. This is why we can't arrive early to movies, because I drink all my stuff.
Which we didn't. It was only 10-15 minutes early.
Which is really late for you.
Yes, it is.
He was panicking.
I'm a half hour early kind of guy. Anyways.
Yeah.
God, you all are. Kris and I just have to go see movies ourselves.
Yes,
well, that's why I'm hoping if we don't get an extended cut that they give us a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that they did.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they would. Yeah.
I mean, especially since we've seen some of the the bigger reveals in the last couple of days on certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Including one of the things that I just recently posted about. Originally it was thought that he stood in for Egon, but it was just with the cleanup shot. Whenever we're seeing Peter firing up the proton pack, that was that was his dad standing in for that. It's
Yep.
just like that's
Amazing.
how
Perfect.
fantastic that
Perfect.
you are like, oh no, we're going to do this for that. So
Get him in there too.
Well, he's also the same build. I mean, him and Harold were similar build all this time.
yeah. I want to kind of touch over some of the equipment. The PKE teaser that was actually dropped before the movie, right before the movie came out, just maybe a month ago, because they came out with the new PKE meter that's blue. It's more based off of like the original Kenner toys or whatever, but it says PKE taser on it,
Sure.
and there's a part where they flip up, and everyone's like, "What the hell is this? Like, are you gonna?" Are you shocking Ghost or whatever? How does this make sense? And then of course watching the movie totally makes sense.
Ghost
So
Project.
yeah,
Especially the mom's reaction after she's possessed. It was like,
oh yes,
it knows.
oh yeah, it definitely knew. This is actually when we talk about the scenes, but the proton pack. So Adam Savage got to do. He actually is the one that designed the
Amazon Death Whistle. Yeah.
There are some prints of it out right now, not working. Apparently, some people are going back in there and editing the print so that it will actually work. And I'm like, I may have to print one of those.
I saw one today.
Yeah, I saw one too.
Yeah, he took two together and he was making it functional.
Oh, I'm gonna have to find that file. So
that's cool.
I'm not gonna blow the damn thing. I just want it.
I blow it a lot.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, and that's totally something Ray would have done.
Oh,
he would have totally used that at a Ghost.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. The pack. So in the behind the scenes stuff, we actually, instead of having just the lights that kind of go around, it was a light that moved around. The prop building community is losing their damn shit. Some people have already done some of them, and they look fantastic.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, that was awesome. And then I don't know how much y'all are into it or whatever from the lore. From the original movie, when they're in the elevator scene and he tells him, switch me on, and he does something. We don't see what it is. It's never been part of canon. And then Jason Rietman was like, no, we're going to go back and add that. So a lot of Ghostbuster people are going back and adding that part to their pack. They're like, oh no, I have to have a switch.
Super glue this switch on there really fast.
So,
yeah. Well, like I told Eugene, and he saw it on my steampunk pack. I mean, I have a Frankenstein switch.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, she has an old
And when we did our '89 Ghostbuster packs, I mean in Corpus, I mean you got to remember in '89 we did not. I mean seriously, we were working off Starlog magazine. Most of the pictures Starlog had was from the night shot, so you had nothing but the basic shape. And so we were basically working off what we could find. So I decided, that was the easiest thing to use was a big. We used Frankenstein switches for that too, because that way when we did do the elevator scene at AggieCon that year. We were wandering around doing the scenes everywhere with that. But yeah, that's nice. I mean switches are good.
A couple other quick things. Oh, what?
So I mean, I know they put that switch in, but in the scene, he's looking down.
That's the thing. He is looking down. So, and I think they discussed it. They're like, this was the only place that kind of made sense to put it. Yeah. So.
But then going back to the PKE meter, did it look fatter to you?
Oh no, it is
like mine.
It is definitely the thicker.
So this is Maddie's.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the original.
Right.
The
new one's got a taser too, so I wonder if that's.
It definitely looks like it's a little thicker. The main thing is being able to flip the arms forward. I think that's what's adding the volt
and it's got that red button.
Yeah.
Back here.
See, I'm hoping we're going to get a screen accurate version of that one. So.
Well, I'm hoping if the pack goes really well on Hasbro Plus, Pulse, sorry, Hasbro Pulse, that they will go 3D scan some more stuff.
Oh God, yes,
that'd be cool.
Yes.
Which brings me to the next. The next prop I wanted to bring up was the RTV.
Yes.
I am still going to make an RTV. Okay, so on my Ecto conversion, I did something from the game, which is technically not canon. Whenever we're getting into that, and I have essentially what's a giant ghost trap on the top.
I love it,
which is fantastic for. It's fantastic for parades. It looks awesome at parades and events and stuff like that. What was funny was
to walk around a con with.
at the at the draft houses, they allowed me to park like right in front or whatever. So as we're like standing there inside or whatever, I see people outside starting to take pictures with the car. So I'd reach on my proton pack and I'd hit the button and I'd have the smoke going. And sometimes they'd see it, sometimes they didn't. But anyway, that totally makes sense. Like if you were in a city busting ghosts, it would make sense to have it like on the car. It's outside. You're going through the streets, whatever. But if you're out in the wide open field or whatever, yes, having a remote control trap would be fantastic.
Yeah.
And yes, I am going to work on that. It's on my to-do list. But
So are you going to
get
it to drop from the car too?
No, I'm not quite.
Listen, if he's going to do anything to the car, I want a gunner seat. I'm putting in my request now.
So Ray's the person. Like I had some back and forth with him on designing my roof rack on my Ecto, and I was like, well, I'm limited. I've only got so much space. I've only got about 7 inches more I can play with, and I've got to make sure I can pull in and out of the garage. And he's like, well, why don't you just put like, hydraulics on it? You can just drop it down when you pull it out. I'm like, I don't think Christy's going to go for that. So
I don't know.
Yeah, well,
I'm just saying.
Ray's an idea man.
What are y'all doing now?
Stifle the idea man.
So
we can turn that
gunner
to a suicide door in the back, and then you get gunner. Like I'm telling you,
I have always wanted a car with a suicide door.
Just saying, these are things we can do.
Yeah. Anyway, and then of course the Ecto One itself. Seeing it beat up and I love that scene near the very end where Ernie Hudson's just like, "What did they do to you? I'm gonna take you home, take care of you. You're my baby." But just seeing, okay, so the everything. There were so many things, and I've even seen some people said some of their favorite parts of this movie was the fact they're like, I never felt like the Ecto got the just desserts it needed in the original movies. Like it was there, it was cool, it's iconic, but it's just kind of there. And they're like, in this movie, it was important. It was very important for this movie. Okay, so anyway, talking about the equipment, let's talk about some scenes. Well, I'm just going to start off with the opening scene. I was already like, when this movie started, I was already nervous. I was just like, okay, we're not getting full frontal of Egon, but what we're getting is okay. And I'm like, okay, I'm okay with what we got. I'm glad we got in the shadow. Because that's been one of my biggest complaints about some of the Star Wars movies. It's like, if y'all want to digitally age or digitally put in a character, that's fine. But maybe we don't have to have full front just right in on their face. Like maybe we can have them.
Grand Moff Tarkin ruined me forever.
Moff Tarkin, that's particular one, because I was like, they could have easily had him staring out of a window and just kind of looking over his shoulder for his line.
Way scarier too.
And it would have looked fantastic. But they had to go.
You could do a reflection, right?
Yeah, that would have looked good too.
There's a lot of ways they could have handled it. They didn't do.
Yeah, but they didn't do it. But I think they did this really well. Okay, so Egon goes in, and I'm like, and there's still a lot of debate online. I was like, okay, so did the Terror Dog kill him, and he just managed to zap it out, or did he literally kill himself in order to? And I don't think it really matters one way or the other, but it's just like, okay, so we're starting Ghostbusters, and we're literally watching Egon die.
Cool. Great start.
Yeah, great start. So.
I don't think he killed it. I think it was a heart attack after being.
I do too.
Zapped.
Yeah. So.
Well, we also saw Egon being a badass all the way through.
That's true too. Yeah.
And I liked that because Harold is no longer with us. It was sort of like this is why you're not going to see him. And I like the shadows. I like that you're not seeing, because I do have a problem. Like when they did all that de-aging and with the Star Wars stuff and all that stuff, when they do the close-up, it's like, okay, we have new technology. Isn't that all fun? Let's not abuse it.
Let's not make everything look
horribly.
So character.
So I appreciated how they handled how Egon was going to be told to be. And I really like that. And
because you can't tell without him. So.
You can't. You absolutely can't. No. And so I liked how how they started it off with Egon.
Well, I think that just shows Jason's respect, because remember he's been quoted now several times how he's involved with the family. Making sure Ramus's family was okay.
He grew up with them.
They were cousins. I mean, in a way, they're like cousins. And I think that showed his love for Harold. It showed his love to the family, and it showed his love of the character for all of us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And supposedly the second person, he's been quoted as saying the second person that read the finished script was actually Violet, was Harold's daughter.
Good.
Yeah,
Because he was like, if she doesn't sign off on this, I'm not taking any further.
Which
exactly.
is when they go to all that trouble, I feel like not only is it nice for the family, but I feel like it's nice for the fans, because I don't think the fans, especially within this franchise, would have wanted anything that didn't do anything but justice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
And that's why we all ended up in tears at the end, because it was
it was
poetically
perfect. It was a perfect send off. It was
Yes.
yeah, it was poetic.
We needed it.
Yes.
Yes, we did, and we'll get to that here in just a minute. So when they're in the field, and she fires up the proton pack, and we get you hear it cranking at the sound. I don't know. I'm sure it happened all 3 times, but I literally can look down at my arms and just see the hair raising.
Yes.
It is
that was one of my
yes,
moments.
that was one of those. Oh my God, this is happening things.
This is actually a Ghostbuster movie.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. That was another huge scene. Jason from GhostbustersNews.com, he's always said he prefers Ghostbusters 2 over Ghostbusters 1, but just like a little bit. He thinks some of the scenes are more fun. And I see where he's coming from. He's like, my favorite ghost chasing scene is the Scolari brothers. He goes, it's just such a fun scene in the thing.
Yeah.
He's like, I actually prefer it over them catching Slimer. He goes, this may be my new favorite, is chasing Muncher. And I'm just like, dude, no one's going to say boo about that, man, because that was such a fun scene.
Yes, it was fun.
Yeah, the whole thing, we get that quick break where Trevor's back, he's trying to get the car started, and, Grandpa's like, all right, let me fix this one little thing here. Twist the wire back on there, and it fires up, and of course he slams the hood, and he's just like, what the hell's happening? But anyway, and then, of course, I think everyone like me that, I'm not a car person, but seeing the Ecto flying into the air is just like, oh my God, they're destroying this car.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's gonna bend in half.
Because you can see when it lands, the front definitely
It splits.
It went.
And I think Jason talks about that on an interview, because I came to mind when they were talking about having so many. Because they had like 3 different Ectos.
Yeah.
And then they had the one where it's like split in pieces, where they could move it around when they did their shots and stuff.
Yeah.
They could take it in parts. And I think they talked about it actually did, like, it ruined the whole front end on that car.
Yeah.
Oh, it had to. There's no way it couldn't have.
I mean, that car is so heavy. I mean,
I was gonna say it's
they
top
already talked
heavy.
about that V8 that's in it has already a hard time pulling it anyway.
Yeah.
Because how heavy the car is.
Didn't they put in a much bigger
No, that's
engine?
it's a Corvette. It's a Corvette engine. Whatever
that's
that
right.
is.
They put a Corvette engine because Adam Savage
It's got
was
more
just
room,
like,
room.
oh
Yeah,
my
it's got-
God, this thing's a monster.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
right.
huge.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I questioned was how good the tires were, because it's like the whole car had been held under. I had to sit there and go, the tires aren't rotted?
Yeah, because
That was my
especially
only
when it does the
nitpicky. That was my
slide, I was
nitpicky.
just like, there's no way in hell. But
Yeah,
anyway.
But that's one of those, I'll let that go. That's cartoon physics. Go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
Movie magic.
Magic.
Couple other quick scenes that I just wanted to mention, then we'll just kind of throw out there for other things I want to do. Did anyone like literally? I think I literally grabbed my heart whenever Ray Stan says Egon Spangler can burn in hell. I just thought,
too. They were
I
talking
thought,
so bad about
this
it.
is not the movie you said we wanted. This is not what you promised, Jason.
But it was like, okay, but something's missing because he did it for a reason. So there's obviously, he left in a rush because nobody believed him. He's like, fuck you. I'm going to save you whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
If I have to do it myself. So
I'm hearing him say that. Like,
I was just like, oh, that's okay.
It felt like someone talking about like your mother or something. I was like,
pardon me?
Excuse me?
I mean,
So we're
that's
gonna
the
fight.
fan
Like,
fiction. That's the fan fiction, or not even fan fiction. That's the non-canon story that we've gotten for everything else. Like, even if Peter went on to go do something else because he got tired of being a Ghostbuster, even if Winston went on to do something else, because it was still always supposed to be Ray and Egon. Like that was.
Yeah.
That was
They were
never
brothers.
supposed
They were
to be,
brothers. They were
exactly.
brothers
They
from
were
different
brothers.
mothers.
That was never supposed to be and to hear him to be him the one that says it, not Peter saying, "Oh no, Egon went crazy and did whatever." To hear Ray Stans go, "He can burn in hell," and then immediately turn and just was like, "Oh man," and just what's funny is oh god, what's his name from Yes Have Some? He's like, but I totally see Ray Stantz just like to a total stranger on the phone explaining everything that fucking happened.
You mean their full life story to a child that has
To a
randomly
child, yes,
called
like
them, no idea who this kid is. Just, well, actually, let me go ahead and explain to you. I'm like, you almost hung up on her when she asked you if you were one of the Ghostbusters, but this you're gonna know. This you're gonna.
Now it's like, oh no, okay, yeah, sure. So,
well, actually.
And then let's see here. I had one more scene down on here. The final battle, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Any other scenes in particular anyone wants to bring up?
Wow. I think the first time my daughter saw Finn Wolfhard on the screen, she may have swooned a smidge.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know. It was all sort of a wonderful blur of. I just really liked it.
See, and I didn't mind.
All the ghost scenes with Egon were. He's like the light bulb.
Yeah, he's the light bulb.
I like that.
I wasn't sure how I was going to enjoy seeing that, because I mean there was rumors that was happening, because we saw that in one of the trailers. You can see the thing move, and then the rumors started going, oh well, Egon's going to be a ghost and he's going to manipulate things, and it's just like, no, that's not the movie we're getting. Shut up, that's stupid. And then you watch it and you're like,
100% what he would have done.
At one point in time, it interests me, if she starts playing chess with her dead grandfather, I'm out.
So help God, I'm leaving, and then I loved it. Then that was like my favorite part of the whole movie.
Oh yeah, and the minute he was there to support her in the battle had me just going.
Yeah.
That was my total. Oh my God.
I think that led to that, though. I think that. You're getting that grandfather.
Built in. Yeah.
Hey, let's sit here and play with a proton pack together. Let's, where's
that one scene? How did you build a cyclotron so small? And then
that's what I mean. Yeah, all the degrees.
By the way, I didn't know this. Someone had to point this out. That was another link to Ghostbusters 2, because yes, I was one of the people that was questioning whether or not Ghostbusters 2 was technically still canon, even though Ray's Occult does not show up in the second movie. My biggest problem with it was they talked about New York 1984 over and over and over again, and I'm like, did everybody forget that there was like an entire museum covered in slime, and the Statue of Liberty literally fucking walked through downtown Manhattan? Did everyone just not think about that?
It was,
but everyone's like, it was storytelling. It didn't have to be there. You didn't want to confuse. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. I just want to hear someone official say it's definitely in there. When Jason Rietman was like, oh no, it's definitely in there, I'm like, cool, no question. I'm done.
But did you hear what because they were like, where's the 1A? Where's it at? And
yes, that was another big question.
He's like, it's going to be for another movie.
Yes, and he said that. But what I was trying to bring up, Rob, is apparently whenever the light switches over to you see all the stuff on the wall. The Geiger meter is sitting there. Like, it's kind of hard. It's in the shadows, but you can see it down there. So it's like, okay, they pulled that one in. The toaster's there too. But the toaster, we never see in the kitchen.
The toaster was in the kitchen.
Sorry, it's in the kitchen. It was at his place. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't remember seeing it.
It's the wrong toaster.
No, they had the right toaster in the kitchen, though, when they showed it on the behind the scenes.
It's the wrong, when Adam Savage goes to the farmhouse, and he's talking to him, and he's like, y'all have to move all this set place to here. And I think in that interview, he shows him the toaster.
Right.
He's like, yo, how do you even have the toaster? That toaster has the emblem on. Okay, so this is me nerding out.
Oh, so Jesus.
That toaster has the company's emblem on the side of the toaster. If you go watch Ghostbusters 2, the version that they have does not have the emblem on the side of the toaster.
But it's the same but it is the same company.
It's the same exact toaster.
Yeah.
Okay. The emblem on both sides.
Okay, and we just got our official Epically Geeky stamp for this episode. So
yeah. Well, I don't know. Then we start counting all the Easter eggs we saw too.
Which they did, and that was fantastic how they didn't take away. Like, she pulls out the Crunch Bar. Well, of course, that was literally one scene in the first movie, but all the fans knew exactly what it was. But it's just like, she pulled out a candy wrapper, and then, oh no, she's found the glasses.
I died over the Twinkie in the
glove box.
Oh, yeah. Like, how old is that Twinkie?
I know.
Oh, God, yeah. and I caught them in the maid service on the door when she opened the door.
Yeah.
That was the original from the old door. Yeah. I mean, there were so many bits.
Yeah, there was a
Then,
ton of stuff.
The real Ghostbusters is in there.
Yeah.
The
bug-eyed ghost.
Yeah.
the Bug-Eyed Ghost.
Yep.
Yes, that was
Plus
that
the
was
name of the
fantastic.
deputy. The name of the deputy ties in too, since they revealed that Dan Aykroyd's daughter played the deputy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I just caught
Oh,
that.
really?
And her last name is Medjack, which is one of the names of the producers from Real Ghostbusters.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
I just caught that off of something
Yeah,
earlier,
they're
and I was
supposed
like,
to be. When we went to that fan fest for the IMAX, they were supposed to go over. There's supposed to be like 300 different Easter eggs in this movie,
oh wow.
and they were supposed to go through a lot of the Easter eggs. Well, apparently they
And
like
then
to
it got
cut
cut
it off. And
yeah.
Well, maybe that needs to be on the DVD too.
Hell yes! Like
I want all
definitely,
that. It's like I
Yeah,
want
I
all
would
that.
love that if they would go through just scene by scene and just point
I
out.
can't wait till the commentary for the director when we start watching the DVD. So we can listen to. Oh, I thought about this scene or that scene. Pulling all that information.
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought the fight with Gozer was fantastic. I love the idea of, and we'll talk a little bit about 2016. How, I mean, they always talked about the proton packs were basically electric lassos to hold on to the ghost that you put it into a trap. And I love the fact that we actually see that, like, whenever Gozer like wraps her arm around it and then pulls Lucky out.
Yeah.
I love the fact that we saw, that a trap would actually work on something that is technically not a ghost. So whenever it sucks in the terror dog, which, by the way, I love the scene where she's walking up and she's just firing off these horrible, horrible jokes, and Gozer's just kind of looking at her, and then just goes straight into the question, are you prepared to die? And she's like, oh, no, I'm 12. Are you?
Are
That
you?
was a good line.
It's a fantastic line.
So cute.
But yeah, so I love, pulls it out. We get to this scene where it's like, oh no, things are going down. It's, at the worst possible second. And then we get the original 3. And then once again, all the hair stands up on the back of my neck and everything. I don't know how, I don't know. The scene didn't hit as well with me the first time I watched it. And I don't know if it's just because I didn't know what to expect. And I didn't know if I was expecting something else. But then after I watched it, I'm like, no, this is exactly how it would have gone down. Like, both movies, Venkman is just like talking constantly to the ghost.
Yes.
I love Ray's whole thing about Ducks Unlimited in that shot of Bill Murray's just like, all right, wrap it up, Ray.
Yeah.
I love the fact that, he's going on, and Winston's the one that's trying to quick shot her real quick, and the fact that when they get they get blasted backwards, it's he's like, I don't remember the job being this painful, and he's like, I do.
I do, exactly.
Yep.
I love when everybody stared at Ray when she's like, "Are you a god?" And Ray's just like,
yes, like he has to think about
Come
it.
on.
So many. Oh, there's so many good things to this.
Yeah.
I also love the fact that they're just like, all right, cool, fire, let's cross the streams and get rid of this.
Yeah.
What do you say? Toast this muffin.
Yeah.
Do you think they killed it with because I didn't see the last trailer until that Monday, because I wasn't going to watch the last trailer. And the last trailer, they showed the 3 guys. The 3 guys, right? So, do you think that was?
No, because we all knew they were going to be in it.
Yeah,
I'm glad they didn't show their faces in the trailer there. I'm glad they just showed like kind of a mid shot, whatever. I think that was still done okay. But if you didn't know, I think that was their way to finally pull people in who might have been a little bit on the fence of, well, I don't know about this in the show.
That.
Oh shit! Like the original guys are coming back for this movie. So, okay. So anyway, we have the battle. There, and then we get Phoebe blasting Gozer, and the whole movie I kept thinking, okay, well, we've gotten these kind of like dark shots of Egon, and that turned out really well. That was really respectful, and I like how they did just the movement, like he's moving different things and and manipulating stuff. The whole time I kept thinking, I don't know if I actually want to see him. I don't know if I actually want to.
I had the literal same thought, Eugene.
And then when I did, and then when we actually see it, I went, no, this is right. This is how it should have been.
They force ghosted him. It looked good.
He looked fantastic.
Yeah.
That's got to be seeing that moment, especially all four of them with. So there was Phoebe, and then the four original Ghostbusters were in a row. Like that's the way you send that off, right? Like that was
Perfect.
that was perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I cried so much is because Harold's not here.
Yeah.
And so that's why it was just like you're seeing it's like he's there and he's not. So it's this beautiful pain that you're experiencing because it's so wonderful to see him, but at the same time it's not him.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little choked up talking about it. And it was beautiful.
That was spirit. That was his, for sure.
And all three of the guys' reactions were just, Peter's like, I figured you would have showed up.
Yeah.
And Ray's like, I'm sorry. I should have believed you. And then, Winston's just like, man, I should have called. Like, I miss you, my friend. Like, it was just well done.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he goes and has a moment with Phoebe, and he has a moment with Trevor.
Yep.
And the ending was just fantastic.
Yeah.
I will say, I'm glad they didn't give him
a voice. I'm glad he didn't.
No,
that was one of the other things.
Need a voice.
A lot of people have said that. They're like, that may be the line that is just really causes such a problem with trying to do some of this stuff is it just, for whatever reason, it's hard to make the mouth movement go or whatever. So, we lost Rob. I don't know what happened. So I'll have to message him in a second. Yeah, because especially because we're getting, here to the big stuff or whatever. So yeah. So anyway, yes. So like I said, I'm like y'all. I had to go putting up the. Okay, so he had to head out. So all right. So to wrap up, we get Egon back, and like I can't help it. I teared up. It was.
I teared up.
It was so
teared up.
To reel it, I wanted to ugly sob. Like I was like,
I did.
I had to cover my face with my shirt because I was
like holding it in. I was wiping my tears away. Logan, she's like, I was good until I saw you cry, and then both of us at each other.
Oh no, I went. I went because I was. Yeah, there was just a lot going on. I went.
So, it just like I said, it was just so well done. And then it pans up and just says for Harold.
And then I cried with that.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I totally cried on that.
And then we finally get. It's funny because and it's funny we get the thing. Jason from Ghostbusters News was like, he's like, I was certain things I was expecting, and I didn't get a lot of it in this movie, and I really am glad how we got it. He's like, you're expecting, at the beginning of the movie, there's a scene and you get the theme and, stuff's going on. It's like, and we didn't get the theme until the very end, but it was great when it happened or whatever. And then we start getting the credits rolling, and that right there and it came back and said Ghostbusters, not Afterlife. It just said Ghostbusters.
Right.
And then we start going through, the cast or whatever. And it says, and Sigourney Weaver. And at that point, my brain went, wait, she, and then we get the mid credits.
The first one, that was perfect.
Which was fantastic.
I want to see all the outtakes from that because that's got to be.
So I'll be honest, the after credit scene, I had pictured or whatever was just going to totally throwaway goofy thing. I thought for sure like there were going to be something's going to be on the news about it, and it's literally going to be they managed to get what's his name, Louis Tully. It's him sitting on his
Moranis. Rick Moranis.
That would have been wonderful.
Him sitting on the couch. He's like, "Oh my God, do you see that?" And look over, and it's fucking Slimer. Because why would they not be living in it?
They would totally be roommates.
But that's not what we got. We got this awesome scene where she's clearly pointing out the fact that you marked the cards, didn't you? And he's like, "Oh yeah, I marked them." So that was fantastic.
So before we get to the end credit scene, then where was Slimer?
Okay, so he specifically said Slimer's in New York. There's no reason he should have come to Oklahoma.
He wouldn't have gone with Egon.
So, which
he's
also
a nostalgia thing for you.
Okay, but you
agree with you, Ray. I wanted to see him too. He was always my favorite.
All they could have done then is when you see the Ecto going down the bridge, right, going into New York. You could have given me a green streak go through.
Yeah.
Okay, there's Slimer.
There he is. Thank God.
Something. But anyway.
So we get that, and then the trailer play, or the credits roll or whatever, and then afterwards, which unfortunately a lot of people still get up, and I'm just like, I understand it's not a Marvel movie, But we keep going to watch Marvel movies and people keep getting up. And I'm just like, what
Yeah,
the
you think
fuck
they
is wrong
know.
with you people? Like,
Been like 10 over
movie's
10 years
not
of
over
this.
yet.
like if you've been waiting to pee this long, you've got time. The credits are pretty long. You could go out and pee and come back and be perfect. Anyway, so the last thing we get is and he even and Jason Reitman had said they had gone back through the old scenes, the old credits and stuff, and they pulled out a scene that they didn't use, and it's Janine, trying to give Egon a coin before they go, fight Gozer. And then we see her sitting there with the coin, and she's talking to Winston. And the stuff, like I said, the non-canon stuff has always come back that, oh well, obviously he probably went back to school and got his doctorate because he's working with 3 other doctors, so why the fuck not? And I particularly I like the way the video game handled it, because they're like, oh, he went back and got his doctorate on like ancient cultures and stuff, because that would be fucking helpful being a Ghostbuster. But the idea that he's this successful businessman, of course, everyone's like, well, what's the one employee that he started with? Surely it was Tully. But he's a successful businessman, and then we see him going back to the firehouse, and they pull in the car, and then we go down to the basement, and we see the old containment unit and the red lights blinking. And that's where it ends. And it's like, okay, you've totally set us up for so much stuff, because and we can start kind of talking about if anyone has any ideas or whatever. But a lot of people are like, they're not sure what they necessarily want to see. But it's like, what's funny is a lot of people are like, well, we don't necessarily have to have Trevor and Lucky come back, but we definitely need Podcast and Phoebe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, do we flash forward ahead, or like maybe they've gone to college in New York and that's why they're there, or
you'd have to get two actors that nail that chemistry though, and that's going to be difficult.
Well, it may take 2 or 3 years before they make a new movie. They have time to grow. Give the kids time. I can see Phoebe going to college at 14.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Or going on like a school trip.
There we go. School trips are good.
Well,
and
even
also,
if they age forward ahead, like she's fit, like the actress right now is 15. In a couple years, she would be 17. She could easily play 19, 20 or whatever.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I will put a plot hole right there that I did think about the other day as I was driving around. Is since Winston was financially helping Ray and financially possibly helping Egon to some extent, so we knew Janine was involved.
I would think so. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then I wonder if Winston wasn't aware of Egon's family, why he was. I mean, I didn't say he had to throw money at him, but to keep them out of struggling so hard.
Well, that was my question too. Was how did because
I just threw that out there as my own little question. How'd that happen without Winston? Yeah.
But yeah, time wise, wouldn't they have known that Carla existed, and wouldn't they have met her? And
I don't see. That's the thing is timeline. I'm not sure. Here's my big question, and I threw it out there, and no one had a good answer. And who knows? There may not be a good answer. If Ivo Shandor mined the selenium from Oklahoma, shut everything down in 40-something to build the building in New York to bring Gozer back, why was he still in Oklahoma? Wouldn't you think he would have planted himself there at the building in New York?
Yeah.
But there was already.
Depends on how he interpreted the numbers, though. He may have known something we don't know about the Remember, all the numbers had an interpretation to them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, so I guess maybe he was counting on Gozer not successfully coming back in '84.
Or maybe he had some inside knowledge on something. Maybe he had some kind of prediction.
But he already knew she wasn't gonna survive '84 because 2021 was on the
maybe
top. And if you notice, there was also
there's a 2134 or something.
There was numbers after that.
Yeah.
So,
Gozer's not gone. She's still. Someone's got to maintain those traps.
Yep.
Okay, and so that's so thinking ahead, because people brought up some stuff about Ghostbusters 2, and I was thinking, I was like, well, surely they're not going to retread over Vigo.
Yeah.
But what is it? Death is but a door, time is but a window, I will return.
Yeah.
And I was literally I was having a hard time going to sleep last night. And I was just like, I don't know if I'd want the whole movie being maybe tracking down other paintings of him and destroying them or something. But I'm just like, how awesome would like the first, like, that's all the advertising it is, and like literally the first 10 minutes of the next movie is literally bringing him back and then being like, yeah, you're not getting away this time, trapping his ass and putting him away, and then we move on to something else. It's just like, okay, cool. So we wrap that up.
That'd be a good tease.
Yeah.
That's great.
Like build him up to be the big bad or whatever, and then literally that's the first 10 minutes of the movie, and it's just like, okay, cool. What? So
that'd be a nice surprise. Yeah.
Yeah. So, because I mean, it makes sense that as long as the traps are, like you said, as long as the traps are cared for, she's not coming back. Like that's not happening. He, on the other hand, technically could come back, and then we could start going into other big bads and everything, so on and so forth.
Well, I also question whether they need to build a containment center in Oklahoma though for all those traps.
Yes, that would be a good question, because are we going to transport like a buttload of traps to New York?
I think that would be I would think that would be higher risk. It'd be better to build a containment center in Oklahoma. That maybe that's Trevor and Lucky's job to keep track of that from now on or whatever.
Paranormal hazard.
Oh yeah, maybe. So
that would give them a job out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I would definitely try to figure out which trap has which one and take one to New York and one to Oklahoma. So if one does get open, it's going to take a little while for it to. We might get a little bit of a heads up. Hey, by the way, there's something heading your way. It'll probably be in a couple hours. So
yeah, and they could use the mine as their new. I don't know. Maybe the mine could be the new place to put all the containments. I don't know. Yeah. If they can figure out an injury source. I don't know. I'm just looking at like
one and Vince Gortho in the other.
Exactly. Yeah. So going forward, a lot of things have been thrown around. Of course, we've had comics and stuff kind of going on, but would you want to see another movie? Would you want to see a series, or would you want to see maybe another cartoon? Or doesn't have to be one of them.
I want all of it.
Yeah.
Like
I'm sorry.
At the beginning, I kind of feel like I would love another movie, but I also know that it is not easy to catch the same spark twice.
Right.
And so much, you can very much tell that so much thought and care and love went into making this, that I'm not saying that he's not capable of doing it again. I just think it would be very tough.
Yeah.
And if this is where they wanted to leave it, I would be really fine with that. I would.
Well, I think Jason Rietman's pretty much said he's out. Like he's like, I've done my movie and set it up for other people to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, but if we can find, but we need to find somebody who could be like the Dave Filoni for Ghostbusters, so we can have a series.
Yes, and so that's the problem. That's the thing I worry about. And there's been a lot of comparisons of this movie to The Force Awakens, and justly so. Like, I liked Answer the Call. I liked it as a movie, but the problem, the biggest problem is it was not Ghostbusters 3. And even though Jason Rietman said this is not Ghostbusters 3, we were never going to be happy until we got essentially this movie or something like it, so that we could wrap up the old and move forward with new stuff. Because I think at this point, I don't even know how as toxic as everything is. I don't even know if people would accept another branch off of 2016 at this point. We may have to have yet another movie before we did something like that. But
I think we're on to franchises.
I would love to see multiple versions. Like if we had a cartoon that followed a certain team, and we had a series that maybe followed a certain team, and then we keep occasionally getting movies or whatever. Because I still like this. I love what they did in the cartoon series, where it was multiple dimensions, and every so often they had like a crossover, and they all like that was the thing, was the Ghostbusters get real, and they met the cartoon versions of themselves. And
that was an excellent episode.
That was it. And then later on, they did the same thing with was it Ghostbusters Incorporated, where the 2016 came in. Like they even referenced some other stuff. They're like, oh yeah, there's multiple dimensions. There's one dimension we even went to where Venkman was working at a golf course and some crazy shit was happening. And it's just like, y'all fucking made Caddyshack Ghostbusters quote unquote canon. That's awesome.
I love it.
So here's my only fear. Sony has the rights.
Yes.
And they do not have a streaming platform.
Right now, their plan is Netflix.
I know.
Right now.
So if that's the case, right, Netflix is very hit or miss with their series.
And also hit or miss with their funding.
Yes. Yeah. So when you have something like Stranger Things, knocked it out of the park. That was fantastic. They did a great job.
Same with the Orange is the New Black. Yeah.
Orange is the New Black. Yeah. Then you get what's that?
Witcher.
Fantastic. Like it's fantastic. But then you get like Lock and Key, and it's like Ooh. I can think there's a bunch of them, and then you look at some of their movies as well. Bright had a really great concept and just didn't hit.
execute on it. Yeah.
And so I hope they can do it if they do a series. I'd rather see a movie.
Yeah.
Only because I think the series would be a harder to pull.
Yeah.
I think if you introduce it as a movie first, and you get that support behind it, then you can get into a series after that. But I think you're gonna have to hit with a movie after this. I don't know. It's gonna be hard.
The safest bet would either be to work on another movie or to go cartoon. I honestly think that'd be the safest route at this point.
Well,
And I
because
hope and I would hope that it'd be cartooning in the level of what we're seeing with like What If, and not going back to something like Rick and Morty or so. I mean, nothing personal against Rick and Morty. I want a nicer style than what we had.
I'm with Lanie. If this is all we get, because I liked 2016. It had nothing to do with the all female cast. I love Kristen Wiig. I love Melissa McCarthy, all of them. I love them, and it was great. But it was its own little pocket of something.
It's a pocket consensus.
Yeah, and I wanted Ghostbusters 3.
Too many people assumed that it was going to be Ghostbusters 3. I remember having a whole conversation with Eugene before it came out about no, it's not a sequel. This is a reboot.
But it also is not a reboot. It's also it's this weird. That was the other problem with it. It wasn't.
I was going to say the trailer screwed that whole thing up.
Yes.
It did. It made it seem
20 years ago.
Yes.
This happened.
Yeah.
And then
so they set it up.
They set it up like
that. I feel like they couldn't decide how they wanted to market it.
Yeah.
And it was already playing a losing game because we know how
the misogynist.
Yes, they just get so butthurt when you touch anything that they, Melissa McCarthy ruined their whatever. I get to be salty because people love to come up to me at cons and act like I am personally responsible for it and that I should be chastised for it. So
no, I just think it should have been. It should have been
marketed differently. I agree with
you. And it also had a chance. I think that the only thing I wish they had done is I wish they had made it a franchise so the guys could have like flittered in for a minute, like, oh, you guys are going to handle this franchise. You're on the West Coast now.
Yeah.
Something
like that.
Perfect.
Something.
No problem.
But it wasn't. Yeah. So, but anyways, this movie, if this is it, the way they wrapped it up, the way they paid tribute to it,
perfect.
Anything, I'm done. I'm good. Because like what Eugene was saying with the Star Wars, J.J. Abrams is a fan, and I liked Force Awakens, and then I watched the second one, and I got really bored, and I haven't seen the third one. I just stopped caring, and I liked the series that they've done.
Yeah, Mandalorian's awesome, but that's Dave Filoni.
Fantastic.
Yes. Oh, Mandalorian, space western. I love it.
And it's really good.
Bev, you brought up a really good point. Part of me likes this idea of I've set up this world. I want to see other people play in it. I want to see other people play in the sandbox.
Yes.
And if it's done right, it's fine. But the problem is once again we have, and I like all three of the sequel movies for what they are, but I have to recognize that what Joe Johnson, what he did in the second movie totally screwed what they were hoping to do, and what they did to recover the fumble essentially was okay, but in a lot of ways was like, this was just kind of thrown out there. That was one of the other things. They're like some people are complaining and they're like, oh, I don't know if necessarily Gozer. I'm like, no, this made sense that Gozer would come back. Didn't really make necessarily sense that the Emperor would come back because he was kind of supposed to be dead. So, but anyway,
yeah.
But we all know how I feel about Star Wars movies. I watch them with the same excitement as like a puppy. I'm like, cool, Star Wars. I like Star Wars, and then I just watch it.
But I'm like you, Bev. I would like to see someone who is a huge fan that loves Ghostbusters be like, okay, hey, I'd kind of like to take up the mantle and at least have a say in where everything's going.
Yeah, because I can see Winston hiring new people to carry on.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Yes.
And then we could get more Annie Potts.
Oh God, yes. She could do. I love Annie. Yes.
More Annie Potts. I told Joseph, I said, but I want her to be Janine and also her character from Pretty in Pink.
Oh, that's true. Yes. And still Meemaw. She has to still be Meemaw too.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, she's a busy woman.
there's two things in this movie that I could see continuing on, right? So one is Winston carrying this on. The other is there's that coin, right? She mentioned that she gave one to Egon,
and she has another
kept
at home.
one for herself as well. So I'm curious if there's going to be something there. Who knows? Maybe you could. And then the other thing that I would love to see is Paul Rudd carry on the maybe he joins as a Ghostbuster.
As long as his schedule's cleared, his character totally makes sense that he would fucking be a Ghostbuster.
Yeah, scientist. He's already
keeper of Gozer,
right?
Yeah.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Right. So I think you could see that, and if I think the fans would get behind it if you do that, and then that would still allow Phoebe, because he'd obviously marry her mom, right? Yeah. So Phoebe would be tagged along, and maybe that's how they get to New York.
Yes.
Right. So
that makes sense.
Oh yeah, that all makes sense.
Yeah. So whatever they do, surely they're going to do something. The movie is performing better than they originally hoped. They were hoping, I think, for 20 to 30 million for opening weekend. They got 42, I think. And then it's still been doing really well. It's funny. There was kind of a back and forth, of course, people being on the internet, but it was kind of a back and forth. It was like, well, did it stay number one again, or did the quote unquote stupid Pixar movie? And I'm like, no, it doesn't look like a stupid Pixar movie. It's like, it's a Pixar movie about, an ethnicity and, telling someone's, their culture and stuff.
Story.
So I want to see that do well. But on the other hand, it's also Pixar. If Pixar has another crappy one, oh well, Pixar's going to keep making movies. If this doesn't do super really great, this is it. So
well, plus we know that Disney cranked out the marketing thing. I mean, we've been bumping into people that didn't even know there was a new Ghostbusters movie.
Oh my God, so many people were like,
really?
Why here? Yes,
seriously,
why are y'all out there? We're here promoting the new movie.
There's a movie?
That come out? It came out this weekend. That's why we're here.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we had that several times. I mean, there weren't any standees, that we're aware of. Although my friend in California says there were standees in LA. But I told him to take a picture and send it to me because I want to see it. I want to see proof.
Because part of it was I was even thinking that I had one of the we got a hold of one of the standees from 2016, and we were just using the logo and putting it up as a background to take pictures in front of or whatever. And I was like, that one got all messed up, and I was just like, oh well, maybe I can get one from the new movie. And that was one of the things I noticed. Every theater I've gone to, I was like, there's no standees up.
None.
So, and I almost wonder if the Ectomobile, the popcorn thing, I wonder if that was an issue where they didn't get shipped out and they're still sitting somewhere in California.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what they claim. That's what my friend. That's what Steven said. He talked to somebody at AMC. But then also look at how we basically blew up their website on Monday.
Oh, yes. So
who handles that stuff, Eugene? Is it Ghost Corps?
No, so they ordered all the stuff, and I'm sure they had everything set up. But
it was AMC's job to do their marketing, not Ghost Corps'. Ghost Corps just said, "Yeah, you want to build an Ecto and make it light up and sell it for $35. Go ahead."
But supposedly, a bunch of them that were supposed to be shipped out are sitting in shipping containers in California, along with a bunch of other crap.
Yeah, because that link I sent you, that link David sent me. I mean, you go look, and we didn't get anything, and Central Texas got nothing.
Yep. Yeah. So.
I
did manage to get a hold of two of them. So, like I said, whenever the dust settles and everyone gets theirs, if there's anyone that still needs one, I'll sell it for. And
same thing here. Supposedly I have two coming.
Yeah, and if not, I'm literally going to go onto one of the groups and just be like, hey, what was it, $34? $35 plus shipping. I'm not going to scalp this. I refuse.
Oh, absolutely. No one's going to scalp. We're not going to scalp each other.
Yeah. So anyway,
in fact, tomorrow we need to get up for Target for the Egon figure.
Don't get me started. I had one in my hand on Wednesday,
and they wouldn't let you buy it.
And they wouldn't let me buy it.
I know. I'm gonna get up at 8:00. Go down to my Target.
Yeah, I'll be getting up at 8 tomorrow too. So. The Plasma series, the newest series of the action figures that they've released that I was not going to collect until my boys bought me the 3 original guys. And I was like, well, I have to have the other 3. Yeah, Phoebe was not released until this week. And then it technically doesn't drop until tomorrow. And it's a 2-pack of her and I think
Spectral
we're calling
Egon.
it Spectral
I'll
Egon.
go Spectral Egon is my name for it.
And it's just like, I have to fucking have that. So,
Me too. I have to get it too.
But people were seeing it they saw it at Target. They take it to the front, and the register would lock up on them. They couldn't sell it until technically tomorrow morning. And the few people who did manage to get it out, of course, are already trying to sell it for 2 and 3 and 4 times what it's worth. So it's just like, bastards. Anyway,
yeah, exactly.
that is our show for the month, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you're a fan of Ghostbusters. If not, I don't know why you're listening to this episode. Yeah, so let's go ahead and we're just going to do really quick picks or pans. Would anyone like to go first?
Are we allowed to say Ghostbusters?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I have a pick.
What's your pick, Lanie?
It's emotional. Is everybody ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
Put on your emotional seatbelts.
Let's go.
Okay. So, I had a very emotional reaction to watching this movie. For some reasons that I won't get into here. But the movie in and of itself was very, very much a pick for me. It was just everything I could hope for. I also kind of love to see Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray on screen together just because it reminds me of growing up and my dad and, watching Saturday Night Live with him and, just things that you do with your classic rock dad that just make for a very, very strange father-daughter relationship. But earlier in the week, I actually had the opportunity to go and see the Rolling Stones. So it was a very emotional week for me. That was my dad's favorite band. Growing up, that was very much something that we shared. And so when Eugene went and saw the movie and called me and was like, I just need to warn you, it's a lot of dad stuff. So just be ready. But all in all, it was very, very nice to kind of get to take part in two different things that are I'm trying really hard not to cry, and I'm doing a really terrible job.
You're okay.
So,
you're among friends.
It was very, very nice to kind of get to take part in two different things that were very nostalgic for me, and just made me feel really connected, my dad will have been gone for 4 years this winter. And it's just hard because as they're gone, anybody that's ever lost someone knows it's hard as the years go on and you don't ever want that person's memory to disappear. And so it means a lot for me to get to kind of take part in things that I did share with him. And so it was just very nice, even though the last 2 weeks have been absolutely insane and very just emotionally taxing, and everything. It was very, very nice as I come upon this season that is really difficult for me to kind of get to feel like he's right there. So that is my pick. My pick is that I am a giant baby and have cried a lot in the last week. But yes, it was just really, really nice. And also my pick is the fact that Eugene was smart enough to call me and go, hey, you just really need to be ready.
I got to watch out for my little sister on this one. I'm going to jump in here real quick and say it's been pretty emotional for me as well. I lost my dad last year, and having the Ecto up and running and doing it in parades and stuff, that was something that he was going to do for me, and not having him here to do that. I thought a lot about him, and he would have loved this movie. It would have been fun to go see this movie with him. So, and then of course, just the whole thing of seeing someone you've lost on screen is just a thing. That's one of the reasons it hit me. My pick for the week is my wife.
I like her too.
New York is like her thing. Like that's her big thing, and the fact that she told me to go on without her to do the things that I did. Like I literally, when I was at the Today Show, they were handing out these like panel wave things or whatever. And as soon as I got one, I was like, all right, my mission right now is to get everyone's autograph that I can for her. And I did it, and I called her, and she just broke down in tears. She was so sad she couldn't come, but it's understandable why she wasn't able to come. But she did that for me. She she drove the Ecto in 2 parades, and that, like, the one of them, it was a 2.5 hour drive to get down there to it, and she did it and did the parade, and and she's just been very supportive of me for. I dress up as a fucking Ghostbuster, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be gone this weekend. I'm gonna be doing stuff and raising money for something, or doing whatever, and she rolls with it. So, yeah, she's my pick for the week because, like I said, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be able to do half of the crazy shit that I do. So, Ray, you got a pick, or Pan?
You're gonna put me up after those two? Like, seriously?
Yeah, something non-emotional.
That's for you calling me out for saying stay after the movie like 10 times,
Yeah.
which I had to make sure. I had to make
You guys
sure
don't
everyone
think you
knew.
need to stay after the movie? Did you guys know that? Are you aware? It's 10 different
So
meanings.
that'll be my pick, is that I got to stay after the credits because I knew two.
Okay. Chris, do you have a pick or Pan?
Oh my God. Our poor dog. I don't know what's going on with him.
We have a Pan. That's my dog being a pain in the ass. But anyway.
So obviously the Ghostbusters, it was worth us going out. It was our first venture out in almost 2 years.
Haven't been in the theater since
Last March
That's
2020.
awesome. I'm glad it was this movie. Like this.
Yes,
So-
me too.
This was worth it.
the last movie we saw was
Onward. That was the last movie we saw.
Hey, that was
This
the
is
one
the
we saw before
first
everything
movie.
shut down.
Wow.
This one. So it's a good bookend. Also, I will say I watched Dune.
Yes.
That's
good
my
pick.
pick. Is
I
Dune.
haven't
That was
watched
very
it yet.
cute,
I still
Chris.
need to
I
watch
liked it. I feel like for me, that's my Star Wars because I want to read all the books. I want to get into it because I didn't know anything about it. Nothing going in, and I liked it.
Apparently, book 5 gets really weird, but apparently.
I feel like it's a weird thing. Like it's a whole weird.
Oh yeah,
universe.
no,
It's
it was cool.
Yeah.
So
So that's my pick. Is I watched Dune.
the other one that I'll throw out there is we're listening to the Singularity Trap.
Oh yeah. By Genesee Taylor.
By Genesee Taylor. Interesting. I don't really have anything else to say because we're not quite done yet.
We'll have to have a discussion because I think I know where you're coming from. It's like this is good, but
it's not Bob.
Yeah, it's what's going on. Anyway,
it's not Bob and it's not Outline.
It's not. No.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
Joseph, you got a pick or Pan?
I don't know. I guess I finished after 6 months, I would say, of an hour a day from on my commute to work, doing the Silmarillion, then the Hobbit, and then the Fellowship of the Ring, the Two Towers, and then Return of the King. I finally finished all of those about a week and a half ago.
Oh wow!
And then I watched the extended edition of the Three Hobbits, the Fellowship of the Ring, and the Two Towers. I still need the Return of the King to finish it off, but it felt different watching them this time because I try to do the Lord of the Rings, once a year at least, go through them all. But I hadn't read the book since I was in high school, so going back and watching all the extended editions now, just having read the books themselves, it's a much different experience. A lot of things hit a lot differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I still want to go. I really want to go back and rewatch them, but I'm like, do I take the boys on this journey with me if I'm going? Am I
that's a lot.
Pretty epic journey.
Yeah, we'll see.
My thing now is I have a bunch of Audible credits to. Do I want to get the rest of the stuff like the Children of Huron and like the essays and all? Do I want to go down those rabbit holes, or do I want to start a whole new series? I have until tomorrow to decide because Monday I go back to work and I need to start a new book.
Yeah.
I haven't started Dune yet. It's sitting in my library. It's 30 hours, so it's gonna take me a minute to finish. But if I go down that rabbit hole, I'm gonna want to read them all.
Yeah.
Have you before you do that? Have you read any of the Bobaverse books?
No.
Oh, you got to. You must. They're so good.
I guarantee
you all.
You will love
Just like.
Yeah, you got to read them.
Sealed. Us three, Sean, I guarantee you will like these books. Give the first one. You will be hooked after the first one, and you'll just keep going. There's only 4 books, so it's not like it's going to eat up forever.
Someone send me a message with what they're called so I can find them on Audible. And...
I will do that.
And then listen to The Wizard's Butler.
That's a good one too. So,
yeah, I'll take recommendations.
I
Don't.
Don't worry, they will recommend.
Yes.
Yeah,
I got you covered, dude.
So
on average, right now, by the time I finish a book, because of like my commute and everything like that, my Audible membership re-ups. So by the time I finish it, so far the biggest gap between the end of a book and when I can get another one for free has been 2 days. So like I'm just like churning them out.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So you're gonna join our book club then?
Yep.
Bev, do you have a pick or pan for us? Just something that you really enjoyed, something you didn't really care for?
I'll give a mini pan to the Alamo Theater just because I didn't like the promos they put in front of Ghostbusters because we knew it was going to have littles.
AMC did the same thing.
And I didn't like that they were running like the Kingsman with the, because I'm just saying that, you see a head slashing and, like, and the Matrix 3 and it's like, or Matrix 4, whatever it is. I actually went to a manager when we were at the first Alamo night and said, I question this. These aren't Sony movies. You don't have to put them here. You could put the new Disney film and this film and the Clifford film.
That's what they did at ARC. They did the Disney. They did
Alamo completely did the first thing said this trailer is rated R, and I went, wait a minute, we're at a PG movie. What the hell are they doing? And I knew there was there were little kids next to me, and I was very, I expressed myself at both the Alamos about that. Otherwise, my pick is I've been visiting Pern again. So I finally got one. I had cataract surgery last month, so I can finally read again. So I'm back on Pern reading. I'm visiting my dragons. Always a good place to be. And my feelings about the movie are the same as everybody else's. Perfect closure, if it's going to be closure. Leaves a big opening if we can have more things happen. And similar is about how I feel because, like I said, to me, Egon was my Mr. Spock, and my dad rolled into one because that was my dad.
Nice.
He actually was a PhD chemist.
Oh wow! Okay.
Oh, well, there you go.
I have no idea what he did for a living. I just know he went and did stuff. But I'm just saying that's how I compared myself to Egon's daughter. It's like, you don't know what your dad does. I mean, I've got these patents of his that I don't know what they do. Mm-hmm. I know he made coatings for Tylenol and the stuff that helps kids' diapers absorb and the foam for firefighting. Those are the 3 things I know he helped build parts of.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Beyond that, I don't know any of it because none of that came through my genes.
Oh man. Well, that is our show for the month, ladies and gentlemen. If you would please give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, Google, Stitcher, wherever it is you listen to the show. As always, you can find us at Epically Geeky on epicallygeeky.com. There you can also find the other shows we do: the Marginally Geeky Show, our book club, the Creatively Geeky Show, our show about being creative, and Jen is supposed to be getting us another episode of Sustainably Geeky. Apparently, she's having a hard time getting some people scheduled, so. Definitely check in and see what's going on there. So, and then you can find us at Epically Geeky on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Where can we find you online, Ray?
The Reluctant Yeti on Instagram. Someday I'll post again.
Fair enough.
Kris, where can we find you online?
You can find me on Instagram at Rose and Hummingbird, and again, I will post someday.
Gotcha. Lanie?
You can find me on Instagram at It's a Lanie Bird.
Follow her stories. She doesn't post, she just does stories.
Sometimes I do stories and sometimes I play inappropriate music, so make sure your volume is turned down.
Yes. Which is why my phone is constantly on mute, and Christy's like, why is your phone on mute? I'm like, because I was watching Lanie's
because Lanie likes to put Meg the Stallion in the background of everything. Deal with it.
Yep. Joseph, where can we find you online?
Just Google my name. I'm there somewhere.
Oh my God, please don't do that.
Also, I don't post anything. I think the last time I posted something was like in 2018. So,
you posted about me like 2 days ago. If you want to know more about me, you can go to Joseph's Instagram.
Well, there you go. Bev, do you have a social media presence?
I play on Facebook like an old person, and I'm also on Twitter and Instagram under Beach CCTX. But nice. mostly I'm on Facebook because that's where all my friends are. That's our little high school gathering.
Nice. And as always, if you want to follow my individual wacky adventure, you can follow me online at Optimus Gene on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For everyone on the site, have a good night.